All right. Hey, good afternoon. I am Assemblymember Kansen Chu. Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon, this Easter Friday. I'm so honored to co-host this conference town hall with a good friend of mine and strong leaders in the Congress, Mr. Khanna. I hope you're all well and your loved ones are all well, staying at home and following the shelter-in-place order. You know, I'm very happy to report that our hospitalization rate in California is not as high as we first expected 2 weeks ago. And this is all because of your effort of staying at home, staying in shelter, and keep a good social distances. And we will be able to get over this crisis sooner than later with your help, and hopefully everything will back to normal soon. This coronavirus has created financial, physical, and mental stress and hardship for so many of us, especially the small business owners, or I would like to mention those parents with a student, or with a school-age student. So as a former restaurant owner, I know what you're going through. You know, I've been there during the 9/11 crisis, and when we had a concession in San Jose International Airport. So I have been vocal about this need for small businesses. Just last week, I have proposed a bill to keep a moratorium on all the small business eviction. So the landlord would not be able to evict you for at least 90 days during this crisis. And I hope that proposal will be implemented by the governor's office over the coming weeks, so small business can have less things to worry about. Today's town hall is to provide information about the federal, state, and local resources that are available for small business owners during this crisis. And also, they will be talking about how to access these resources. And I like to use this technology, and this is the first time my office is trying this conference, remote conference. So I know there's a little bit challenge ahead. We're trying to get those people on the Facebook to also be able to join us in this town hall. However, we will be doing our best. My staff and I will be doing our best to take your questions. And to ask a question, you can use the comment on Facebook Live, or best way is email the question to assemblymember.chu@assembly.ca.gov. I repeat, it's assemblymember, one word, CHU at assembly.ca.gov. We will answer your question following the presentation, but you can submit your question anytime during this town hall. You can always contact my office if you have any questions, or there's any questions will not be able to answer you today due to the limit the amount of time we have this afternoon. And this is new to all of us, and please be patient when we are overcoming some technical difficulties. Now, let me introduce a friend of mine, a good friend of mine, and a strong leader that representing us in the Congress. And I'm very honored to have him as a co-host of this event with my office. Without further ado, I'd like to turn the microphone to Congressman Khanna.
Congressman. Well, Thank you, Assemblymember Kansen. True, I want to echo your call in thanking our healthcare workers, our doctors, our nurses, everyone doing essential work, and expressing admiration for our county officials. Dr. Cody, Sarah Cody has done a remarkable job in getting us to shelter in place, and I've been so pleased that so many people in our community have been complying with that, taking it very seriously. It's why Santa Clara County has one of the best responses, very better growth rate. I mean, it's, for example, there's estimates that if New York had done what we did in Santa Clara County, it would have had in New York 80% fewer deaths. So I'm very, very proud of our community. I want to just take this time to let you know what our office can do. First of all, on the economic front, if you haven't gotten your stimulus check and you make under $150,000 as a couple, please feel free to reach out to us. I anticipate give it a couple weeks, but if after 2 weeks you still have not gotten that $1,200 check or $2,400 for a couple, please reach out to our office. If you're having challenges with unemployment insurance, many people need it. No embarrassment in filing for it. Please file if you've been furloughed or laid off or reduced hours. Contact our office if you're having trouble with that. I know some of the systems have been failing and the websites have been slow. We can try to help. And then if you're a small business, you can get an 8-week loan. You have to go to the bank you're at, and they should give you a loan if you're using that loan to make payroll. And that loan will actually become a grant. So you get the money, and as long as you're showing that it's kept to hire people, that is something you don't even have to pay back. We have had many businesses already get this money in our district, and I look forward to working with you, and our office looks forward to working with you if you need to do that. You can contact us through our website. Just go to our house website, and we will get back to you to help you with any of these processes. Thank you, Assemblymember.
Okay, thank you, Ro. I'm really very honored and privileged to be able to serve hand in hand with so many local county workers, state elected officials, as well as federal representatives like Congressman Khanna during this very, very difficult time. And I know Fiona Ma, our treasurer, will be online around 1:30. So once she got on, we will definitely let her to speak for a few minutes. And I would like to thank all the local chambers, Chamber of Commerce, who have collaborated with us on this town hall and have been working tirelessly during this crisis to help their members. In the coming days, we are working with some of the local chambers and commerce to distribute masks, the regular mask, not the surgical or a medical mask, to essential small businesses like the to-go restaurants, and which they're still open and for their workers. And in addition to donating some PPEs to the healthcare workers and our local hospitals. I want to mention this idea was brought to me by Dr. James Yu. And about 2 weeks ago, she pointed out there could be a little weak point in our defense of the coronavirus because it's long, a lot of high percentage of the people, even if they contracted this virus, doesn't have any symptom. And also it had a very long incubation period. So in order to protect the workers and protect the customers, he recommended that we putting a order in place to require all of them to wear masks. At that time, the CDC was not recommending wearing a mask because we have a shortage of masks. We want to be able to move all the possible or anything possible to the frontline healthcare workers. But now the CDC also has provided a guideline to encourage people wearing masks when they go out to the public. And I'm very, very happy and honored that the Consulate General of the People's Republic of China in San Francisco to answer the call and willing to have donated 3,000 masks and just to given out to the small business owners and the workers, because we know at this time it's still a fight to be able to purchase any mask. And we will be working with the local chambers and find out how can we get those masks to the hands of those
yes, thank you, Kansen. Yes,
hey,
can you guys hear me?
You know, there are no better people to know how much money we left in our state treasurer. So
thank you.
Welcome, Treasurer Fiona Mott. The microphone is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Assemblymember Kansen Chu. Thank you, General Counsel Wang, for your message. We look forward to working with you over these next few months until things are normalized. But yes, Kansen, I have to say, thanks to Governor Jerry Brown after the Great Recession, he was very, very frugal in making sure we paid down our debts and put as much money into our rainy day fund, prepaid some of our pensions, and therefore we are in better shape than most states when we get out of this pandemic.
Yeah, I think so. Nice.
Just know that saving for a rainy day does work. The governor also every day, as you know, he does a press conference at noon on Facebook, YouTube, and one of the local TV stations, just talking about the newest programs, resources, and places for people to go get help. So I encourage people to listen to his press conferences. On my website, we have two buttons. One is directly linked to the COVID-19 health site. So it's covid19.ca.gov, and that directly links to our health and safety site where people can keep up to date on what is fact, because a lot of things that are spreading around maybe on WeChat or Facebook is not necessarily the truth. So we want people to log on to our state website, www. What did I say it was? covid19.ca.gov. And then the other link on my website is a resource guide. So my external affairs team has been compiling all the different resources for small businesses at the federal, state, or local level, as well as tax relief and food programs. So my website is www.sto.ca.gov, and I'm sure my team is typing that into the chat so that people can access some help. I would also say, Kansen, because this is time for the census, and there will not be people who are going to go door to door, which is normally how we try to count people. So we really want people to get online, answer a couple of questions. It takes less than 2 minutes, but it's important to be counted because about $1 trillion gets allocated to the states based on this census number. And so it's important that our whole community, everybody logs on, gets counted to make sure we get our fair share of resources. And then the last thing I want to just remind people is beware of scams. People that may call and say, oh, we've identified you as potentially getting $1,200 from the federal government plus your kids, but we need to verify your social security number and your bank account. So be careful. Government agencies do not call taxpayers and ask them for personal information or ask for any sort of bank account or credit card payment. So if they do, you know that's a scam. And then lastly, if people need help, please email me. I've got a dedicated email for any questions people may have, and it's askfiona@sto.ca.gov, and we will be typing that all into this video chat so that everybody has information. But stay safe. Thank you, Kansen Chu, for your leadership. I know we're all anxious to get back to business, but in the meantime, you know, practice social distancing, make sure you sterilize, wash your hands, sleep well, eat well, and then take care of one another. So thank you.
Thank you, Treasurer Ma, for your words of wisdom and the very good messages. And I had the honor of serving with Jerry Brown for 4 years and making some real tough decisions. But
Yes.
now looking back, I think those are the good decisions. We
Right.
pay down the debt and we call it that wall of debt,
Well
and
done.
be able to put some money in the reserve rainy day. And this is it's pouring right now, so
Right.
we'll have more challenges when we go back to Sacramento. Thank you
Yes.
very much for being here with us. And I'd like to quickly introduce some of the representatives from our local Chamber of Commerce. They are with us today, and I hope they are all there, and I will ask them to say a few words. From the Milpitas Chamber of Commerce, we have Warren Wettenstein. Is Warren on the line? Warren.
Warren is on. Warren, you're he's on, but we can't hear him.
Okay, how about Nick Casper?
Hello, everyone. I'm Nick Caspar.
Hey, how are you doing, Nick?
I'm doing well. How are you doing? I know it's a
Doing
crazy
well, thank you.
for everyone. So, hi, everyone. I'm Nick Caspar. I'm the president of the Silicon Valley Central Chamber of Commerce. We're here as a business resource along with all the other chambers. So please reach out to us. I know we're trying to stay up to date on the information that we're getting. I'd also like to thank Assemblymember Kansen Chu and Congressman Khanna for holding this, and thank all the attendees for getting your voice heard in this process because it really helps. Thank you.
Thank you. Is Warren on? How about David Nielsen, the Director of Public Policy, California Asian Pacific Chamber of Commerce?
Hi there.
Hey, David.
Can you hear me?
Hi, David.
Yeah.
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. Thank you for hosting this. It's a valuable resource. I won't take too much of your time. We're glad to support this virtual town hall. Thank you, Congressman Khanna, for being here. And you know, we have the CalAsian.org. We have a business triage center where we're helping members find alternative financing if they need. We're dealing with some of the overflow from the SBA. Some businesses.
All right, great. Thank you, David. You're breaking up a little bit, but thank you for being here. I'll go down to the next one. Carl Davis Jr. is the president of Silicon Valley Black Chamber of Commerce.
Yay! Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you well, Carl.
So we're doing what we.
I think the other guy's still speaking.
Our members
I cannot hear him very well, but we'll let him finish.
The state and in the regions, and so we're going to help and we support you, Assemblymember, for your efforts in the program that you referenced, as well as your continued support for the small business development effort. So thank you for that.
All right, thank you, David. Thank you. Now we're going to get Carl back on. Carl.
How you doing there, Kansen?
I'm doing well, thank you.
For those who do know me, my name is Carl Davis Jr., and I'm the president of the Silicon Valley Black Chamber of Commerce, but I have this white beard now because I haven't shaved for the last maybe 30 days. But I want to say thank you, Kansen, for doing this. I can't even overstate the importance of what we're doing here, because as other chamber presidents are on, we represent small business owners, and many of these small business owners are, I'll call micro small enterprises. They're really small, and it is very difficult for them to take the time out to really navigate just the volume of data that come to them talking about business support. So it is very important that the chambers exist as that organization to help them. Having said that, there is a little issue, and I know Dennis and other people may talk about it too. When it comes time for funding, we found out that chambers cannot apply for some of the dollars because they're a 501c6, and the dollars I was talking about was the payroll protection plan. So that's something that maybe you guys can go back and fix, because I know there's other dollars that's going to come in the future. But I also have been spreading what I believe is hope in a time like this. And so I'll talk to you, Kansen and Ro, offline with this, but we've had something called the Virtual Chamber Services. And this is a cloud-based, patented, mobile communication and promotional platform. This is one way that we believe that trusted agencies can communicate to small businesses, get vital data back from small businesses, and then be able to better tailor programs and services to those small businesses. Efficiency is really important right now. Although everybody looks at that big number, $360-some billion, everybody knows we have to watch every dollar and use it the best we can. So I'm very open to talk to you about that later, but I think right now we need to move in that kind of direction.
Thank you, Carl. I'm looking forward to be on your radio show soon.
Yes.
All right. And next up, we have Valerie Boyle. He's the Chamber President and CEO of Newark Chamber of Commerce.
Oh, Valerie and Cindy are not on, so we can.
Oh, so Valerie and Cindy are not on. How about Warren? Can we put Warren back on?
Warren is on, it's unmuted, but we cannot hear him. So
okay, sorry, Warren. We're trying. We try our best. We couldn't get him. But again, I want to thank all the chambers of commerce for your tireless work throughout the year for your members. And let's go to the most important part of. I'm sorry.
Cindy is on from Fremont. I just found out.
Oh, Cindy is on. Cindy Bonnier is the president of Fremont Chamber of Commerce. The microphone is yours, Cindy.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Assemblymember Chu. As all of my colleagues in the chamber said, our businesses are just really being decimated by this and hurt terribly. So we felt as a chamber the best way we could support them was to provide them with information on where to go and get loans or help or something like that. So resources, and then outreach to the community to help support these businesses. And we're going to follow up with programs to help them at the back end of this when we're all back to work to do it. If you visit our website, I'm not going to go over the links, obviously they're available, but they're on our website as well, which is fremontbusiness.com. We've also created a number of Facebook pages, one called Fremont Takeout and Delivery, one Open for Business, and one Fremont Cares. And Fremont Cares focuses on nonprofits and what we can do for nonprofits during this point in time. All of those have been actually very, very active. As a membership organization, obviously we're here to serve our members, but during this time we need to be a community. So you don't have to be a member at this point in time to use all of our services. We're here to help you in any way, shape, or form that we can, regardless of whether you're a member. We've also hosted a few seminars, or I'm sorry, webinars to help members think creatively and outside the box to do business online, to maybe make changes in their business to help. So those are all available through our website as well, videos of that. And then afterwards, we're going to be participating in some post events and meetings, probably even some virtual ones as we just barely get back out the doors again to help with that. So most of everything we do is on our website, on our Facebook page. All the resources are there, and you can always reach out to us at the Chamber of Commerce if you need help. We have had the support of the SBA, the City of Fremont, SBDC, I'm sorry, the City of Fremont Economic Development Department, and of course, Kansen Chu now and Khanna to help spread the word about this. So we're anxious to see businesses out there again and in an environment where we're all healthy and can be back to our normal lives. So with that, I'll turn it back to you. Thank you so much, Kansen.
Oh, thank you, Cindy. Thank you again for all the Chamber of Commerce. You've been working really, really hard. I know firsthand for the members, and now you opened up your services to even non-members. So thank you so much. And Anurag, do you say anybody else?
Oh, no, we can move on to presentation. Bianca.
Okay, we can move on to presentation. That's what I will be doing. And this is really the important part of this afternoon's town hall. And we have 3 presenters today this afternoon. We'll give you information on all the federal, state, local programs, and most importantly, how to apply for those resources that were provided by the local, the state, and the federal government. And their organizations are also here to help small business daily. So please contact them if you have any follow-up questions. We will make sure to put your contact information on the screen. So without further ado, let me introduce all 3 speakers, and I will turn the microphone to them. The first one up is Bianca Blomquist, is a Northern California Outreach Manager, California Policy and Engagement Manager with a nonprofit called Small Business Majority. Our second speaker, and is a long-term friend of mine, is Dennis King, is the director of Silicon Valley Small Business Development Center. And the third one is also a dear friend of mine, Margaret Jackson. She is the director of Alameda County Small Business Development Center. Without further ado, Bianca.
Hi there. Thank you, Assemblymember, for your time. Thank you, Congressman, and thank you, Treasurer Fiona Mon, everybody else that took the time to participate in this super important event. I'm going to jump right into it since that was such a, thank you, since that was a great intro. Hi, I'm Bianca. I manage operations in Northern California and the policy work in California for a nonprofit called Small Business Majority. We are a 501c3 organization. You can pop over to the next slide. We are a 501c3 organization that advocates for small business owners on a couple different issues, usually macroeconomic issues of top importance to small business owners, access to capital, which is a big part of what we're talking about today, as well as wealth building, affordable healthcare coverage for both small business owners and their employees. I'll be talking primarily about the CARES Act. I know for many small business owners, this is not new news. We do have some updates as of this morning. It seems to change every day. But for those small business owners that are just looking for some clarity, I would like to give just a brief overview so folks so I don't leave anybody behind in the conversation. So essentially, the CARES Act is phase 3 of the stimulus bill. It was passed on Friday, March 27th. So, you know, I don't know, 10 days, 11 days ago. And there are 2 programs of importance to small business owners within the CARES Act. There was the Paycheck Protection Program, PPP, the worst acronym ever, at about $349 billion to that program. So that's the larger program. And then we have the smaller program, which is the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program. I'm going to be calling that EIDL throughout the rest of the presentation. So the larger program, $350 billion, and then the smaller program, the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program, EIDL, at about $10 billion. The larger program, the Paycheck Protection Program, is for small business owners of up to $10 million. That is the cap. That's the most that you can get with the Paycheck Protection Program loan. A certain portion of that loan is intended to be forgiven, and I'll get into a little bit about the eligibility requirements for forgiveness in a minute. But everything that's not forgiven is then wrapped into a 1% loan at 2 years. So just remember the Paycheck Protection Program is $10 million. Most of that is intended to be forgiven, but any ineligible expenses will be wrapped into that 1% at 2 years. You will, as a small business owner, if you're interested in participating in that Paycheck Protection Program, you'll need to go to your nearest 7A lender. That's through the Small Business Administration. You can go to the next slide.
Let me know, please. You can go over.
Oh, I think I can move it too, or?
Well, I have that access.
Yeah, okay, no worries. So you can find your nearest SBA 7A lender by going to the Small Business Administration website. This gives you an idea about the eligible uses for forgiveness. So as a small business owner, you are, they estimate the amount given to you for the Paycheck Protection Program by about 2.5 months of payroll. It's pretty intuitive. You take, your payroll over a year and then you average it out and then you multiply it by 2.5, and that's your average payroll for 2.5 months. That is the amount of the loan that will be given to you. And then from that, by June 30th, you'll go back to your lender, the same place that you went to get your Paycheck Protection Program loan in the first place. You go back to your lender and submit your receipts and any documentation that they may require, and say, listen, I spent X amount on payroll, I spent X amount on utilities and rent, which is also a forgivable expense. And the large portion of that is meant to be forgiven. Now, anything outside of that, you can go to the next slide. Anything outside of that, let's say you're a small business owner who runs a coffee shop, your coffee roaster broke. Unfortunately, that's an ineligible expense that would be subtracted and wrapped into the rest of the loan at 1% for 2 years. So that's the Paycheck Protection Program if you're interested in the PPP. And what if you already laid off your workers? It's important to remember the spirit of the legislation. The spirit of the Paycheck Protection Program is to make sure you as a small business owner keep your doors open and your employees paid. So you have until June 30th to, in good faith, hire as many of your workers back as possible. The legislation is still a little bit hazy about, what is 100%. We don't know what the economy is going to be like June 30th. But do your best to hire back the workforce to as complete as possible. And those, what it takes to get those employees back is supposed to be what is forgiven under the loan. Some pros and cons of the program. I find this really useful for small business owners. I'm happy to send out this slide afterwards so you don't have to scribble down notes or anything. But I mean, it's fairly easy to fill out. It's pretty short. Loan payments are deferred for 6 months. The unforgivable part, anything that is ineligible for forgiveness, is pretty low. And we understand as a small business owner, you might not be interested in loans. This isn't what you wanted. We understand that, and we're working in phase 4 of the stimulus package to encourage Congress to continue to advocate for direct cash payments into the hands of small business owners. But frankly, this is what we have right now. This is what we're working with. Some of the cons, it's taking a long time to get this money into the hands of small business owners. So if you are a small business owner and you haven't begun this process yet, we encourage you to reach out to your personal bank, your business bank, your community banks. I wouldn't say quite the silver lining, but it's definitely been heartening to see how the community banks and folks' communities have been stepping up and getting this done for small business owners. Okay, let's move on to the economic injury disaster loan. If you have questions about how the Paycheck Protection Program is calculated, these are some of the slides that we provide to you. But again, it's pretty intuitive. You subtract the ineligible expenses and they're wrapped into that larger payment piece. So the economic injury disaster loan is the smaller piece. This is the $10 billion that was allocated in the CARES Act. And it's important to remember that the SBA had disaster loans before EIDL, okay? And a lot of folks applied for disaster loans before EIDL because they existed. First and foremost, I want to get this out of the way. If you applied for an economic injury disaster loan March 30th or later, please reapply for the economic injury disaster loan to be eligible for the loan advance. I'm going to spend just a couple moments talking about the loan advance that's associated with the economic injury disaster loan. So remember, EIDL's a little bit smaller. The loans that are available to you as a small business owner only go up to $2 million. Anything outside of the loan advance, the rate and terms are 3.75% at 30 years. So remember, the Paycheck Protection Program was 1% at 2 years. The EIDL loan is 3.75 for up to 30 years. So there is a big difference between the rate and terms of each loan. The loan advance, it's not a guaranteed $10,000. Anecdotally, I haven't spoken to any small business owner that's actually received any of the loan advance yet. But the idea is that small business owners will receive up to $10,000 once they apply for the economic injury disaster loan. Now, that's no strings attached. That's the way the rules were written, at least. You do not need to take out the economic injury disaster loan, the EIDL loan. You don't have to take it out to keep the up to $10,000. And just again, if I can remind you that if you applied before March 30th, you would want to reapply for the EIDL to qualify for the up to 10K. This is directly through the SBA. It's a smaller program, so the Small Business Administration is ready to help small business owners with this. So if you're interested in an EIDL loan, just go to covid19relief.sba.gov and you can start your application process right online. Can we go to the next slide, please? So it's taken a little while. I'm now beginning to hear of small business owners in California that are receiving the funds. It's taken so far, a handful of weeks, 4 weeks. I would imagine that it's going to take longer, the more people that apply. But the SBA streamlined the application. I know that, the site was down at one point and then it was back up. Like, that's the way that it goes. But this is the program that you're going to want to go directly to the SBA, work directly with the SBA to get any portion of the EIDL loan completed. Next slide, please. I pulled this together to give you, as a small business owner, a side-by-side comparison between the two programs. Is there anything here that I missed? Yes, nonprofits are eligible to participate in the economic injury disaster loan. I will say that as of later last night, there have been a couple new pieces of information regarding sole proprietors. So I mentioned that the CARES Act passed on March 27th. SBA 7A lenders were supposed to begin filing these applications on your behalf, the small business owner, on April 3rd. Sole proprietors were supposed to begin filing their applications for for PPP, Paycheck Protection Program loans, on April 10th. We are seeing a little hiccups again with both application processes, and also, and this is not in the guidance, but we are hearing that sole proprietors are no longer going to be eligible for the up to $10,000 loan advance. We knew the entire time that this money was not infinite, but we are hearing that sole proprietors are not going to be eligible for the economic injury disaster loan advance, just to let folks know. There's no collateral associated with this loan. As I mentioned, the SBA has relaxed a lot of those requirements. Next slide, please. It's important, if you are looking at these loans, that you, as soon as possible, like yesterday, make an appointment with your Small Business Development Center, your local SCORE, your Women's Business Center. If you're not familiar with what they are, the SBDC Women's Business Center are quasi-governmental organizations that are paid for through our taxpayer dollars to help entrepreneurs, small business owners with a ton of things, a whole host of things, marketing, your business plan. If you're considering the Paycheck Protection Program or EIDL or Work Share Program through the EDD or anything, you should be revisiting your business plan. Dennis King, who is been doing this for a very long time, runs a solid operation. Folks there will help walk you through the process. They're there to help you at times like these. So make an appointment with your Small Business Development Center, your Women's Business Center. If you're a veteran, there are Veterans Business Centers available to you. I think I'm running up on my time. Can we go to the next slide, please?
Oh, Bianca, this is your last slide. Dennis is up next.
Oh, great. Okay. Oh, that's perfect. So yeah, if you have questions, I would say as we move into phase 4 of the stimulus bill that you reach out to me. My organization again is smallbusinessmajority.org as we continue to try to get direct cash assistance into the hands of small business owners so that you have all the tools that you need to succeed. So thank you.
Dennis, you are up.
Thank you. Assemblymember Kansen Chu, Congressmember Khanna, thank you both for your friendship and your advocacy for our small businesses. We certainly appreciate what you do and your tremendous work on our behalf. Let me also acknowledge, I also have to thank you for showing me a picture of our colleague from the Black Chamber of Commerce. Carl, I'm glad I recognize your voice. I'm not sure I'd recognize your face anymore. I should have to give a warning to all who's paying attention. His beard is not a reflection of the speed at which loans are being processed. So with that in mind, I think we should probably zip ahead with what we have. Bianca, thank you for your observations in terms of your Small Business Development Center. Yes, we do a wide variety of things. Today, our particular focus is on access to capital, particularly in what we're doing to help our clients qualify for the SBA loans and other resources that's right on the horizon that should be helping serve those that have not been able to qualify for the federal programs. There's 2 thoughts that really need to keep in mind. Our services are free for our workshops, our outreach, our one-on-one advising are free. If there's any message that we wanted to be able to share is that we're here for you. We're here to help the small business owners succeed in their endeavors. SBDC program have been around since 1980 under President Carter. There's now 1,000 SBDCs across the country. It's the largest federal program under the Small Business Administration. And while they're either managed by nonprofits or colleges, it does have a direct channel to the SBA programs so that we're on top of the changes that's taking place on a regular basis. So I thank Bianca for her endorsement. It's been a pleasure working with her organization. We traditionally provide services through workshops and one-on-one advising. One ramification of what we're dealing with now is that we have to be a lot more creative. So we're doing a lot more webinars, Facebook outreach, a number of different programs they have to do online. So I think that's going to be a positive legacy from this, is that there's additional ways that we're able to connect people and walk them through the resources they need to be successful. I am sharing some thoughts on behalf of my colleague, Margaret Jackson. So the program that she's running is kind of the counterpart of what we do. So I'm speaking on behalf of Santa Clara County. I'm sure she can speak with as much passion on Alameda County, and I'll be turning over my discussion to her shortly. If you were to go on our web pages for either one of us, you'll probably see a dedicated area that talks about small business resources to particularly deal with the crises that we're now facing. And you'll see that there's a button, as you can see in the red spot above, to apply to be an SBDC client. Again, there's no charge for our services. It certainly allows us to be able to track you over time. So as you go through one program to another, we can be there to walk you through that process and also be able to keep you alerted about other opportunities as well. So we encourage you to please take advantage of us while we're here. Next. So our particular case, we also do outreach through our publications. They're available online. I'm sure Margaret has also developed other communications, whether they be pamphlets or other information. So I would strongly check their website as well. We have some 40 business advisors, most of whom own their own business or they have owned their own business. So they come to us to serve you, the small business owners, from their real world practical experience. Part of the joy of what we're able to do is based on their real world experience is to acknowledge that they have a real passion for serving the community. They are conversant not only in English, Spanish, Vietnamese, Chinese, Portuguese, and other languages. And we really like to think that our consultant base is really a strong reflection of the people of our communities. Click. Next. Thank you. So again, we work on a wide variety of areas. Today, we're particularly focused on access to capital. That's one of our most fundamental services. We have an ongoing, very positive relationship with many, many banks, many credit unions, alternative lenders, and other funding sources. But when we do so, please keep in mind that we don't represent them, we represent our small business clients. We have traditionally provided a lot of loan packaging, but in this particular case, beyond the basic information and directing people to resources, we can also walk you through the steps. If you have some questions, if you're concerned about some language challenges, we're here for you. And that's our basic message. Next. So I don't think I need to go into this. Bianca did a splendid job of describing the differences between the programs. Next. So actually, Nick, are you still on the line?
Let me
Nick
find
Casper?
Let me unmute him.
Hey,
So-
Dennis. Yeah, I'm still here.
So one of the joys that we're also watching is that a number of local communities, particularly cities, are stepping up to supplement what the federal government is doing. Nick, do you have the ability to speak to what's going on in the city of Santa Clara?
Sure. Yeah. Santa Clara on Wednesday approved a $500,000
Nick, your volume is bad.
small business relief fund, and they're going to be working. Can you hear me?
Yes, now better.
So the information is here. Hopefully you can take that with you. So we congratulate the city of Santa Clara for stepping up. There are other cities, Sunnyvale, Milpitas, others are again trying to identify the resources that they can apply to supplement about what's out there. With this, I should probably pass this over to my colleague, Margaret, if you want to take it and run from here.
Margaret, you're on.
Thank you, Dennis. Thank you, Assemblymember Kansen, Congressman Khanna, and creating this town hall for us to really touch the small businesses, touch the people. We recognize that there's a lot of worry and concern and fears, and we want to help you hope again. We want to get back to what our new normal will be. We certainly won't go back to the way that we interacted as businesses. I know we've been hearing, let's get back to business as usual. It's going to be a different way of doing business. Before we get into some of the questions and answers that we're going to go through, I want to share a quick notice, and let me give this to you because you may be hearing some new things in the media, and I want to preference what you might be hearing in the media with regards to what may or may not be happening with the programs. So I'm going to read this as a statement for the SBDCs. SBDC representatives cannot comment right now other than to say the SBA is outrageously overwhelmed and their system are clearly inadequate to serve the unprecedented demand. And this is regards to information that is being reported in the news right now, that we do not have updated information other than what we have gotten in the last 24 hours. And I'm going to echo what Bianca has said, is that everything's fluid, so things are changing quickly, but we cannot comment on things that we have not gotten an official guidance on from SBA, and so we want to be very careful on what that might look like. And so we're gonna, and I say this because of the questions that may come up and some concerns. We wouldn't be able to comment on any changes that are in the program that you may be seeing in the news as of today. So as SBDC advisors, all we know is what the SBA and our clients tell us. And as soon as we have different information, we will alert our business clients accordingly. We have been told by SBA that the funding levels maximums remain unchanged and to continue encouraging client businesses in need of relief to apply. And so you may have seen news come out of New York Times or PBS. And what we're saying is that we have not verified that information. It has not been giving, SBA has not given us any new guidance or changed guidance in terms of the EIDL loan or the PPP or any of the programs that are currently being offered by SBA. Predators, we cannot overstate that. I'm seeing a small level of predators out there that are posing as SBDC representatives. I understand that SBA is seeing some of the same sorts of things. If you are being contacted by anyone from our SBDCs, and SBDC is not going to ask you for your social security number, although we do ask for specific information in regards to your business. We would never ask you for your social security number. And if you're applying for the EIDL loans or support, make sure that you're applying through our SBDC centralized or intakes processes, and they could be a little bit different from each SBDC. Get on their calendar, and then you connect through those channels rather than someone picking up the phone and saying they're calling you from SBDC. They should be able to verify who they are. And if they cannot do that, please, please, please do not give them any of your information. We are under strict NDA rules and guidelines. And so we want to make sure that we continue to protect that. So don't give out your information to someone that cannot identify themselves as representatives of the SBDC. Can we go to the next slide, please?
Yeah, it's Q&A. I can.
Okay.
Let me unmute Assemblymember 2. Assemblymember, you are. Assemblymember, are you?
Yeah, I'm on, but Margaret hasn't finished, right? Margaret wants to look at the. Are we?
Yeah, this is a Q&A. She's going to start with the Q&A now. If you want to say something.
Oh, any questions? Okay, great. Well, thank you so much, Bianca, Dennis, and Margaret. That's really a lot of information, a lot of valuable information for the small business owners. And I would really encourage you to jot down their contact. And we should post Bianca's slides on our website so people can and refer and definitely post their telephone number, contact information. I know the situation is very fluid. I want to thank the city of Santa Clara for coming up with supplemental money for the small business. I know many cities are doing that, city of San Jose, and the federal government is also entertaining another relief fund. So thank you so much. We'll make sure that all those information get posted and we can share with more people. And at this time, we'll just open up for questions. I know a lot of people have submitted their questions before we started the town hall, and the staff is being looking to remove all the duplicates. So I don't know, are we ready for the first questions?
Yes, I remember. So Simone Chen with our office is going to be reading those questions for presenters. And we
Okay.
have Kate from Congressman Khanna's district office. I will be unmuting her in a second. So if there are any federal questions, she'll be able to answer from DC.
Great.
Simone, go ahead.
Hi, this is Simone. I'm going to, can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, so I'm going to read the questions as they are submitted. If we don't get to your questions today, you can reach out to Dennis, Margaret, or Bianca. We will leave their contact information on the screen. You can also reach out to our office if you have any questions for us. So our first question is from Doug Marinaro. Several people asked this question. When might we expect to see the advance and loan disbursement? Could either Margaret or Bianca give us a response based on your experience working with businesses?
I can start, and Bianca, if you want to piggyback on anything that I said, that's fine. What we're being told by SBA and some of the publications that you might find downloadable that we've received from SBA with regards to the EIDL loan and the PPP in terms of the entire program and disbursements, they're giving themselves 3 to 4 weeks. The $10,000 disbursement, you have seen in some of the publications that it's 2 to 3 days. That has not been the experience. So if I were you, give them a couple of weeks. Again, there's a high volume of applicants, unusual number of applicants, and although they're trying to move through the system quickly and as fast as possible. Those timelines will fluctuate, and so some may receive it a little bit sooner, some a little bit later, and we know that there's a lot of pressure there. But I would really give them a little bit of breathing room to get those advancements to you.
Anything to add, Bianca? Are we ready to go to the next question? Thank you, Doug, for the correction.
I'm sorry, Bianca. I think she was muted. Are you there, Bianca?
Oh yeah, I'm here. I was muted.
Okay.
That's all right. No, Margaret was spot on. I mean, the 3 days is not. I don't think that's been anybody's.
Great.
So we have question 2 is from, it came from email sweet@sclimo.com. Has anyone received any EIDL advance, EIDL loan, and or PPP funds? If yes, how long were their application was filed online and how were the funds received? For example, deposit in their bank account, check in the mail. I am sensing that the government wants to 1, apply for as much PPP that we qualify for, 2, online apply for the 10K EIDL advance, and 3, then try to apply for any express or bridge loans from local lenders. In other words, no EIDL loans will actually be offered other than the 10K advance plus the PPP in this case?
Bianca, do you want to start or? Okay. That's a lot, so let's kind of unpack that. Bianca's also muted, so let's.
Let me, I unmuted her. Is Bianca on?
There we go, yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, I have only spoken to folks that have received EIDL funds in their account. I have not spoken to any small business owner that's received their Paycheck Protection Program funds yet. A lot of that has to do with the fact that most banks haven't started filing those applications. And I just want to reiterate that the $10,000 loan advance is not $10,000 loan advance, it's up to 10, and part of what determines up to $10,000 is how many employees you have.
Okay, our next question is from...
Did they answer the question? I thought there were 3 parts to that question. Does it answer the question?
Right, there was a couple of more pieces, Assemblymember. The portion in terms of how long things are taking or what's the timelines, again, and I want to set the tone for this because although, you know, at the beginning of March, we got hit and shocked with a pandemic that changed the course of how we do business. And I want to just say, a great appreciation for our government to loans and responses in a manner in which is not the norm. It takes a lot of time to really vet out how a process is going to happen. And they got these resources to us really quick. And as a result of that, you have to understand as small businesses, that process, there's still a process attached to that. We don't have enough information to really give you data that it takes, once you put your application in today, it's going to take this amount of time. It's varying. We just don't have that data to show you that right now. And again, what I would say, and although everyone understands the urgency, it is in process. And so we would say be patient with SBA as they're processing, where they're getting 1 million hits a month. They're getting 1 million hits a day right now in processing. So to try to give you a number and says, this is what it's going to be, this is how long it's going to take, you're going to get your EIDL up to $10,000, you're going to get your EIDL loan, you're going to get your PPP in this amount of time, is just not something that we can realistically do and give you. It just has to go through the process, and the amount of response that we're getting even at SBDC to help businesses, the system gets truncated. And so be patient with that. And as we get through this later, we'll be able to share data, but it is just so early in the process. The PPP loan process, I mean, that went online last Friday. So yeah, so be patient with all of these government agencies, and don't get frustrated. They have got these resources to us a lot faster than what our bureaucratic system actually allows for. So I have to tip my hat to them, but everyone's moving as quickly as practical and possible with the manpower that we have.
Right. Yeah. In the state level, we have moved and trained 600 more employees to work on the EDD for the spike of unemployment claim. So I'm sure that SBA are also doing the same or the similar things.
Right.
So
Thank
you for the question.
And that's correct. SBDC is hiring as well. So everyone's doing the best that they can.
Great. Thank you. Can we move on to the next question?
So our next question is from Ajay Sellers Franciscus, a small business owner. I'm excited to see the support small businesses are getting during the COVID-19 pandemic. My concern is many small business owners I know don't have employees and therefore have limited access to the funds available. I understand the need to protect employees, but many small businesses don't have employees. What support are there for those of us who are truly a one-person business?
Anybody?
Bianca, do you want to start with that? Or?
I mean, yeah, I was just going to defer them to you, Margaret and Dennis, because I know that you guys do help. You do work with self-employed individuals, sole proprietors, and yeah.
Right. Okay. Right. I just wanted to make sure that I don't hog all the questions. So I want to make sure that we have an opportunity to respond. What SBA is telling us, and I'm going to echo their sentiments, is, for example, with the EIDL, apply. They're not telling self-employed or 1099, if that's how you're doing your business, if you are a sole proprietorship, SBA is saying apply. Don't count yourself out. Allow the system to go through their process and see whether or not you are able to get some funding from the EIDL program. When it comes to the PPP, we understand that today the application for sole proprietorships or those that are contracting in some sort of way, that door is open today. And what I would say to you as an SBDC director, apply for all of the resources that are out there and allow the system to work for you, and let it kind of unfold in the wash, because a lot of this, we don't know how your particular situation is going to view. We can't tell you, oh no, you don't qualify. We don't really have that data. And so SBA says, don't disqualify yourself for anything. It does not hurt you to apply. It doesn't, they're soft. In terms of your credit, they're doing a soft pull on your credit. So they're not a hard, it's not a hard look at it from the EIDL loan. In terms of the bank, work with the banks and go through the process. Don't presume that you don't qualify for something.
Great, that's a great suggestion. And also, I think the sole proprietors are entitled to unemployment claim. So you're going to put an application through the EDD. And I understand that we're enhancing the unemployment a claim for $600 per month.
Week.
Per week, actually, per week. Thank you very much. So yeah, we should apply for unemployment.
And if I could just add, Kate Gould with Congressman Khanna's office, and I just wanted to add that yes, there are definitely benefits for sole proprietors to apply for these loans, because even though a lot of the expenses for the like the Paycheck Protection Program would be going toward payroll. If you're a one-person shop, then you could use it to pay yourself. And then you can also use the money. It's not just for payroll. It's also for rent, utilities, mortgage interest. So there are various ways that as a small business owner, as a one-person small business, you can take advantage and benefit from these loans. And one thing, though, that we do not have guidance yet on is how that will work for the forgiveness formula. So as these experts have mentioned, that these loans then become forgivable loans if you retain the employees. But if you don't have employees, then that, obviously the formula that will work for other small businesses wouldn't work for you. And so we're waiting to hear back on, and there will be further guidance, from the SBA about how those loans will be forgiven for independent contractors.
Great. Thank you, Jeff, for the questions. We'll move on to the next question.
Okay, our next question is, what are some avenues we can utilize to follow up with the Small Business Administration after applying for a loan? Several people have applied for loans, but we do not have a clear timeline of when funds will become available. How do we follow up and ensure accountability?
That's really a great question. And I'll go back to the SBA is outrageously busy. And you can go back to SBA and connect with them. And some of the feedback that I am getting from our clients is that the hour, when they call on the phone, it's probably about a 3 to 5 hour wait.
If you can get through.
If you can get through. Right. And so again, what I would say is be patient with the process. I would say give them 3 to 4 weeks overall with everything that you're doing, that SBA is dispersing. Give them an opportunity to respond. And again, in Bianca's presentation, she mentioned anyone that applied for the EIDL loans prior to March 29th, March 30th, reapply, because the CARES Act was passed I think on the 29th or the 30th. And so some things changed with that up to $10,000. And at the time that was passed, it was just the $10,000. Now it's up to the $10,000. And so everything's fluid. But if you have not heard anything and you applied prior to March 29th, or applied, yes, before March 29th or 30th, reapply, and they have streamlined the system. So it's really fast. It may take you about 10 minutes or so to reapply for the EIDL loan, to check check that little box that says, puts your hat in the ring, for lack of a better term, to be considered for that up to $10,000, then do that. But give this system an opportunity to work. Again, they're overloaded. The capacity in terms of hiring and getting people available to support, that's, you know, that's happening with every organization. So if you just applied a week ago, it's just not enough time. You just have to kind of unfortunately wait your turn, and allow the system to work, and it will work. There is accountability there, I guarantee it. So I wouldn't be concerned that they're not processing. They're processing it in the order that they're getting these applicants.
Can we ask the SBA to give like an auto reply to say, well, thank you very much for your application, we receive it, and give us some estimate? I don't know, this is something that we may need to work through Congressman Khanna's office, to just give us a auto reply. You know, we received your loan application, you know, due to, it's like you, when you call them, they will give you some estimate wait time. And
Right.
I wonder SBA be able to provide that information.
And they are.
They are? Okay,
And they
so
are
you do get
Assemblymember. They're giving
nod.
it 3 to 4. Yeah, they're giving it 3 to 4 weeks. If you're keeping up on the publications that are being posted and on the Alameda County SBDC website and on all of the SBDC websites, there's updates all the time. As soon as there's an update, they're updating all of our websites with that information. And again, the up to $10,000 was initially a 2 to 3 day turnaround, and that's not the reality. The reality is some of this, the whole process of it is taking about 30 days. And so SBA is saying that when they do apply Assemblymember, and they hit that submit button, they are getting a thank you, and they're getting their SBA number that's attached to that process. So again, I would say give the process an opportunity to work. I think it's unrealistic to expect a week turnaround. Yeah, you know, so.
But some acknowledgement of receiving the loan, I think, will give a lot of comfort to the applicant. All right, do we move on to the next question?
Our next question is, why do some banks like Wells Fargo not have an option to apply for a small business loan? If my bank is not encouraging this program, how can I apply for this loan?
Right, that's a great question. That's coming up a lot. The PPP and the banks, the bank does not have to necessarily participate in the program. That's up to the bank, first of all, and they should be a 7A lender with the SBA, obviously. That being said, some banks are not participating. We are, SBA does have a lenders list, but even though that lenders list on their website, some of those banks are not applying. You would have to find a different lender. And we are trying to keep up with some of those lenders. There's online lenders that are not banks that are participating in the program. SBA is working on getting other lenders through their process to make them a 7A lender. The banks, what we were told by SBA, the banks were not expecting the influx and the amount of applicants that they have received for the PPP. They were absolutely, so that's why you're finding that some banks have said, okay, we're just going to work with customers that are work with our customers rather than non-customers, and then they shut it off because the applicant pool for these loans and for this program is just unexpected. So we're seeing banks say, okay, we can't handle the capacity, and other lenders are boarding on. I'm hearing places like Cabbage. I would be concerned on, and again, I go back to predatory those that are trying to charge some fee, there should be no fees attached to these programs. But there are some online lenders, I believe, I think it's called Lendistry.com is a lender that's working with in Smart Biz Online, Cabbage, Funding Circle. So these are some lenders that are not banks that are working with the PPP program. So that's going to be a little bit of a treasure hunt to kind of find who's willing to take on you know, these applicants that are able to. Yeah.
If I could just to add to that, Margaret, as you had mentioned in the onset of your discussion, keeping in mind as a small business owner that predatory lenders are operating out there. One of the reasons that we are hesitant to raise the Cabbage as a viable processor is only because of historical reasons. They have not always been super upfront and transparent about the fees that are associated with some of their products. And so, I mean, if they weren't historically that way, who's to say if they will be moving forward? But, if you as a small business owner are particularly astute, if you're on this webinar, you're obviously doing your due diligence, be aware, Small Business Majority, we have a checklist that you can bring with you to any lender, any lending situation. It's called the Business Borrower's Bill of Rights, the BBOR, which we developed in conjunction with a coalition called the Responsible Business Lending Coalition, essentially just to say small business owners have a right to fair and transparent pricing. And I would also just want to underscore some of the issues here. Relying on traditional 7A lenders to file these the Paycheck Protection Program applications. We need to remember that these are the traditional lenders that have largely ignored a lot of the small business owners that are interested in these loans. So, a lot of women business owners, a lot of business owners of color, a lot of business owners with whom English is not their first language, a lot of folks who want less than $250,000, frankly, are not profitable. To bank with these folks. And, in the rules, they did try to mitigate that a little bit with the 1%, 2%, and 3% fee. But unfortunately, these lending institutions have a vested interest to first lend to folks that perhaps have a line of credit open with them for somewhat obvious reasons, or folks that just are going to be approved for the larger amount, the 10 million, the $8 million. And unfortunately, that's not always, the mom and pop shops on the corner. And so keep staying vigilant. Industry is working on it. Funding Circle, Smart Biz loans, there are options out there, but as Margaret was saying so eloquently, it's just a matter of time. Be patient and remain vigilant.
Right. And on the heel of that, we're saying don't go it alone. Work with an advisor, work with SBDC, work with the Women's Business Center, work with the organizations that are, we have business advisors that help you get through these processes without being taken advantage of. Your access to the SBDCs and the network within we have 18 SBDCs in the Northern California, and we have the Women's Business Centers and the Veterans Centers. Work with the scores, work with the centers that are trusted resources that will help you walk through a process so you're not taken advantage of. Talk to your SBDC advisors, register, sign up and apply for help and assistance. That's what we're here for, is to help kind of mitigate those gotchas, right? And taking advantage of the current situation.
Margaret, this is Anurag. There's a follow-up on your response regarding the confirmation. Tanya said that I did not receive a confirmation email after I submitted my EIDL loan on April 2nd. Is there a way for the constituents to follow up on that?
Yeah, I would call SBA. I was just on in a meeting. And Bianca knows this. We're in constant meetings with SBA throughout the week. And what we were told in a meeting that I was in, I think it was yesterday or the day before, that there is a confirmation now. Again, Bianca mentioned that the website was down and going back up. But what we were told is that when they submit that button, there is a confirmation and you get your ID at that time. If you did not get that ID or you did not get that confirmation, one, I would be concerned whether or not your application was successfully submitted. So I would definitely give SBA a call and find out if you have an SBDC advisor. I would talk to your SBDC advisor, or if you're working with one of these different organizations that is providing the advising, is to first determine whether or not it was successfully submitted. It just gives me a little pause there, but then contact SBA and you know, find out whether or not I guess I would want to know whether or not you got an ID number, because on that confirmation, the ID number is on there for your application.
And does it hurt to resubmit it again if we submit it once and we didn't get a confirmation?
No.
No, so I would recommend you resubmit it again.
Yeah, they'll pair it with your original application.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Wow. We need your services every day before SBDC. Thank you for doing a great job. Can we move on to the next questions? How are we doing with time?
We have 32 more minutes.
Oh, okay.
Okay, our next question is, how can we encourage people to order takeout from mom and pop's restaurants? We have seen a massive drop in takeout orders due to COVID-19, and the revenue loss is devastating. How can we change this?
Let me make sure I understand the question. Can you read the first part again? I'm sorry.
How can we encourage people to order takeout from mom and pop's restaurants? We have
the Chamber of Commerce should be able to answer that question, right?
Right. Because we haven't stopped eating out. Actually, my family and we love eating out. So, right. I would say Cindy would have some answers to that as well. And one of the things that I would say is for the mom and pops is, you have to talk to your customers. You have to be online. You have to be on social media. You have to look at content marketing. You have to let them know that you're still there and you're ready to do business. We had a great testimonial in one of our region calls this week that one of the restaurants refused to lay off their staff, and so you have to really think about how you want to pivot it in this time to stay in business. And as a restaurant, they decided the restaurant owner contacted their their customer base, because you have that information, their customer base, and raised over $150,000 to stay in business, to pay their staff, and to provide food for those that are stuck we're all stuck in homes, but in our homes, but those that are elderly that can't really, get the food that they want. They're making food for the hospitals and for the workers, and they're doing the takeouts. So they've been able to be very successful in this process, but you do have to get proactive if you have not been, in terms of communicating through all of the online resources to let your businesses know that you're here, and different applications, different apps that would also share that. If Cindy Bonnier wants to add anything to that, definitely chime in.
Let me find Cindy.
While you're finding, I just wanted to flag really quick. I mean, one of the greatest things about working with a small business development center is that they have workshops like this all the time, doing business online. I'm doing a workshop with a wonderful nonprofit that operates in the Bay Area called Start Small, Think Big. They provide access to legal support, one-on-one legal support for eligible small business owners, and we're going over the legal essentials for doing business online on April 22nd. On April 20th, there's another webinar on understanding commercial lease agreements. So I think, like, you know, one of the things that has been so unprecedented, and I'm getting sick of that word, but it really has been unprecedented in this time, is small business owners are able to sit down and engage with us in ways that they've never been able to before because their shelter in place orders. So take advantage of all the wonderful nonprofits in the Bay Area that put on these amazing workshops all the time. Smallbusinessmajority.org, my organization, SBDC, the chambers, we all work together to put these workshops together on all the time. So I would encourage you to just Google it. There's a lot of resources out there for free.
So I think Margaret and Bianca did a great job answering that question. So we actually did a webinar recently, and I think you can find it on our website. It was hosted by Irene Kohler on ways to be creative to offer things. But definitely the online Facebook and different websites out there that are extremely active right now. I mean, we have no time like the present to use Facebook more than we've ever used before, I think. And I know that a lot of our members are being very successful once they joined our page, which is Fremont Takeout and Delivery. They post there daily. They post different specials and things like that. They're getting creative in terms of, like, we'll put the ingredients together for you, and if you take it home and cook it, if you don't feel comfortable picking up something that's already been made, a lot of places will deliver to you directly. I think you just have to, and I think Margaret said this earlier, to look at it, be really creative with what you can offer and how to offer it, and then to get online and just make sure people know you're out there, and use more than one resource. Even if you're not in Fremont, use the Fremont one. I mean, people are just trying to support small businesses. If you're close enough that it makes sense, do it, because I get the impression from talking to people, they don't really mind driving to somewhere if they can get what they want. They just don't want to be around a lot of people. So that works for them. So thanks for that question. I think that was a great question.
Right. And that's good, because I'm still trying to figure out how to get out to Roseville to get some pizza. So
yeah, make sure those servers wear a mask. And if they need any mask, they couldn't get hold of any mask, let us know. I do have some donated non-surgical mask just for those essential workers.
Good to know. Thank you, Assemblymember.
Okay, our next question is, in normal circumstances, it is tough for small businesses to survive because of heavy competition. With COVID-19, we are more afraid than ever that we will not be able to ride out the storm. How do you think the landscape of small businesses will change after COVID-19? Will it ever be like before?
Oh, yeah, that's an excellent question. Number one, it's not going to be like it was before. So I would start thinking in a growth process, a growth thinking rather than a fixed thinking. Anytime you have something that's going to challenge, whether it's a recession, in this case, we've never experienced a pandemic, it forces change, it forces creativity, it forces you to think about some things that you weren't thinking about before as a business owner. So maybe you weren't thinking online and you would get there, maybe you're building and says, we'll look at a 2 to 3 year timeline rather than a 6 to 12 month timeline. So you have to look at, although this is a very sad situation because we're losing humans, we're losing the lives of people that we care about and love. On the other side of that, and we're not making light of what's going on, is that it's okay to relook at your business model, dream again, determine what your customers are asking you for. Money didn't go away and disappear in the system. We still want to spend. the challenge becomes is how do you get them to continue in this new dynamic to do business with you, and what can you offer and provide in a way that they can access it. And so that way that exchange can happen. It's not going to be the same, and it's a good thing because there's businesses that as a small business, as you weather this storm and you pivot and get creative and out of the box thinking, radicalizing, and maybe doing some idea assessments to your situation to see what will float and what will work. And that's where SBDC advisors come in handy. Any of these organizations SCORE, and again, Women's Business Centers, there's so many resources out there that you don't have to process and think through this alone. You can strategize and you can rebuild and you can adjust your business plan. A business plan is not a document that should ever be stale. It should be constantly evolving. And this is just an opportunity for you to evolve and not die out. And so you want to look at what can I do? Because there's obviously something, you have a product and service that people want. How can you get it to them, and what does that look like? And I understand that some of you need to be in your offices to do certain things because of the dynamics of it. But I'm saying those, if you can pivot, every business can pivot. I just don't subscribe that it can't. But how that happens and how you continue to get your information to your customers is going to be valuable. So if you can't get to your office, then I would, and you have to be in your office to do your work and you're non-essential, I would begin having new conversations with my customers and saying, hey, we are going to come out of this pandemic. What does that look like? Can we create some different types of letters of intent and things like that? So you're going to have to think outside of the box. This is not ever going to be what it used to be, but it can give you new products and services and a reach to get to new, not just your current customer base, but new customers in the process of this.
Right. Thank you very much for the question, and
Hey,
I
Kansen.
do appreciate.
Treasurer wants to.
Oh. Yeah, I just wanted to add, thank you very much for putting this on. The information has been amazing. I've done about a dozen of these, but this has actually been really, really informative because of the PowerPoints that are up. But I just also want to add that small businesses, especially the restaurants, they need our help at this time. And like Margaret said, people are going to have to learn how to pivot and adjust in this environment. So social media, we've been ordering about 150 brown bag individual grab and go lunches from local businesses here in Sacramento because I have essential workers that have to come to work every day. We are the state bank. And today we were able to share it with some of the Sacramento regional transit workers who also are there. So as we are doing this, posting on social media, encouraging people to support your small business, I think that's a good reminder for everyone. So thank you for the question from your audience.
Right. No, that was a good question, and I appreciate the answer from Margaret and also the comment from Treasurer Ma. I just couldn't say that more eloquently. Before we move on to the next question, do we fix the problem with the Facebook? Anurag.
Assemblymember.
Did we fix the problem with the Facebook?
No.
Are the Facebook live?
There was a technical issue. It did not work, and we will post the video online after.
Oh, okay. All right. Move on to the next question.
Okay, our next question is from Dean Sherrill. How much of the initial $350 billion is left in the PPP? What are the chances for additional funding before it runs out? Does Congressman Khanna's office have information on this?
Sorry, okay. Great, okay, so, I'm sorry, so it was about, will the pavement protection plan run out?
Yeah, how much of the initial $350 billion is still left?
Yeah, I mean, we don't know that information. I mean, so mostly it has not been dispersed. I mean, that's I think as Margaret and Bianca were talking about, the problem is that the money has not been, some money has been sent out the door, but a lot of it has not been. There are concerns that it will run out quickly. And that is why what we're talking about, at the federal level is including, is bolstering that amount and putting a lot more money into that account. I know that Bianca also talked about proposals on just getting money directly to to small business owners rather than going through the SBA program. So there's various proposals. We're definitely already working on the fourth package, and those negotiations have begun. And getting more money to small businesses is certainly a major priority for the Congressman. This is not supposed to be a first come first serve kind of program, but but of course everybody's concerned this money will could run out quickly.
One thing for sure that it will run out quickly, so act fast.
Yes, yeah, right. I think
right.
as Margaret and Bianca mentioned, it is something, apply right away. One thing, and we are, in constant contact with the SBA as well, and raising concerns from the district, from small business owners that we're hearing from. And one thing that we've also heard about is that a number of lenders are waiting on a promissory note from the SBA, and that there's talk about how when that comes, that it's expected to be kind of a rush of money out the door. I mean, we hope, but it's there's not a set timeline here. I mean, I will say the SBA, I think, as mentioned by other speakers, the deadline is at the end of June for the payment protection program. And of course, that's not going to be anywhere near sufficient to get us through this crisis. So what we're really looking at for the fourth package is how do we make sure that there are these long-term, relief packages for small businesses.
Great. Thank you.
Okay,
Next question.
Our next question is from Antonia Etari. When will we see support and assistance for small business landlords? I'm an owner of a commercial property. I have already reduced my tenants' rents for April at a financial hit to me. Is there funds to support the owners of the properties of small businesses who give rent discounts to their tenants? Could one of our presenters?
I believe we do, but.
Well, I think this is a perfect example, one for Margaret to jump in. But if you are a registered LLC, if you rent properties and that is your job, you can apply for the Paycheck Protection Program and the Economic Injury Disaster Loan. So if that is your business, you should go ahead and start getting the ball rolling on those two fronts.
There are programs available for small landlords too, right?
I would imagine, yeah. I'm finding there are programs for independent contractors. There are programs for all types of industries. Reach out to one of us. If we don't have the knowledge off the top of our head, we'll all work together to get that answer to you.
Right, and we've been told by SBA that landlords, again, if that's your business, then you can apply.
Right.
Again, it just doesn't hurt for anyone to apply. Don't discount yourself. You don't get to. What I would say is don't disqualify yourself. Let someone else do it.
Good point.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah.
point.
And
Rose's office have to comment. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I would also just add that there are a lot of discussions right now with the fourth package about including some kind of broader moratorium on evictions and foreclosures and including landlord relief as part of that. That is certainly a priority for the Congressman. There's also a really excellent CRS report, the Congressional Research Service, and they have this report open, for the public. There are lots of great Congressional Research Service reports on various aspects of CARES, and there's reports specifically addressing the eviction issues and the kind of assistance for landlords. And one of those, certainly that landlords could be eligible for mortgage forbearance or small business loans and grants. And tenants may also be eligible for the acts for CARES, direct payments or an enhanced unemployment compensation. That's something to note. But there are, there are other resources that the Congressional Research Service has, and hopefully more of that will be addressed in the next package.
Great, thank you.
Okay, and our next question is for Kate from Congressman Khanna's office. Wells Fargo, and it's from Russell Crew. Wells Fargo is denying small business loan applications to even be filed. How can we get access to PPP emergency stimulus money to support local businesses? Will Congressman Khanna advocate with Wells Fargo to intervene on behalf of local small businesses to gain access to the $349 billion allocated?
Great question, and thank you for raising that. So making sure that small businesses in the 17th district, have access to this relief is certainly a top priority for the congressman. He is working on that. Specifically related to Wells Fargo, and I think this came up, or a similar issue came up that Bianca and Margaret addressed earlier,
Right.
that there are banks that are refusing to participate in this program. They see it as more of a liability and not worth the risk to them, that because they'd be on the hook if this falls through. So they just opted to not participate, and they are not required by law to participate.
Right.
And in fact, they are. There's a lot of different ways that they can not participate, or they can participate but only take certain only people who have accounts with them. So I think, as Margaret and Bianca mentioned earlier, going, if you're in the situation where your own bank refuses to participate, then the best way forward in terms of, getting you this money as quickly as possible is to go to a participating lender. And you can go to the SBA website and you can search for who those participating lenders are. And I know that there were other resources that Bianca mentioned. So, but that is, I think that's going to be the most, that's going to be the path forward that will get you some kind of assistance most quickly.
Right.
And what I'd like to add to that, specifically about Wells Fargo, just because we were in a training, and again, we're in trainings and workshops and updates throughout the week, and Wells Fargo did come up with our finance center inside of our SBDC network, and what we were told is Wells Fargo hit their cap. They have a specific cap, a lending cap, that's been imposed upon them, and they're trying to get that lifted. So whether or not it would be remains to be seen. So they do want to work with small businesses. They have taken in applicants, but they hit their max and that cap in that lending. And there's a lot of information behind that I'm not in depth to even address. That's with Wells Fargo and what they had been going through. I guess a few years back they were in the news. So they have a lending cap, and so
Right.
they are trying to get that lifted.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. I can certainly take this back to the congressman. We've been hearing from, unfortunately, a number of small businesses that are having just all kinds of different problems with this, and we do raise them with both the SBA and with the Treasury Department. Something to note, I don't know if it's been brought up yet, that the Treasury is issuing these FAQs, and that it seems like those will be issued on a rolling basis to address some of the common concerns and complaints that come up. And so we are, continuing to talk with them about the districts that the issues that we see in the district. So I will certainly raise these issues, but I think as the other speakers had mentioned, there are a lot of other lenders to look at getting relief from.
Right. Thank you. Next
Okay.
questions.
Okay, our next question is from Jen Haygood. If we did get the application number, do we need to be concerned that we have not received any email follow-up?
No, we specifically dealt with it. This is that was your confirmation, and there's not going to be an email follow-up saying thank you for applying. SBA has already stated that.
Right. Be patient.
Be patient.
Okay, another question from Sunil. If a business owner has just started a business before or during COVID-19, will they be able to apply for the relief?
Yes, SBA has told us that they can. Part of that guideline is 3 to 6 months in business. But yes, and again, I go back to just apply. Don't even if you invested $80,000 in your business and you haven't sold one thing, apply. You're still eligible. So
good advice.
Yeah.
Good advice. Next question.
Okay, so that's it for the questions. So we have a message from Milpitas Chamber Representative Warren Wenstein. His microphone wasn't working, so I'm going to give you some updates that he has provided us. The virus updates on their website is going to be www.milpitaschamber.com/COVID-19 /. This is continuously being updated, and it's a brand new page. There's a Milpitas restaurant survey. We have been working closely with Alex Andrade, with Milpitas Economic Development Director, and staff. We split the 200 plus restaurants so each of us could call to ask if they were open during takeout and which delivery services they use. Milpitas has 4,100 plus businesses in all supporting local restaurants. There's a new website, www.strongmilpitas.com. It's to host proactive ideas for folks to do while we battle COVID-19 crisis. Last night was our first takeout Thursday, and we focused on the restaurant, on Tall Restaurant. Next week is focused on local taquerias. Participating restaurants have a menu set with a family menu for Milpitas families in need. Pay it forward meals will be $20 with additional donations appreciated. City of Milpitas and SBDC, Milpitas Chamber has worked closely with Alex Andrade of Milpitas, along with Dennis King's SBDC staff, including Chris Horton and Ali Lopez.
Great. Thank you, Warren, for the update. And without any further questions, can we put their contact information back on the screen again? I want to definitely take this opportunity to thank all of you who submitted questions, and our heartfelt appreciation for the presenters, Bianca, Margaret, and Dennis, and definitely Khanna's office, as well as our Treasurer Ma. So without any further questions, we will just end our town hall at this point. Thank you very much for participating, and have a happy Easter.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining. We'll be posting the video of this presentation and the meeting online.
Yeah, most importantly, get the slides posted, because people might not have 2 hours to watch the whole program.
And slides will be available on our website as well.
Great.
End of today, and the video should be up hopefully in the next 24 hours.
Great. I want to also take this opportunity to thank my staff for working on it, for very, very hard on it. And we know that we'll have some technical difficulties, and hopefully next time we'll be able to overcome them. So thank you, staff.
Thank you so much. Thank you. This time you can disconnect, and we will be sending you an update, slides in the email, as well as posted on our website. Thank you.
All right, good. Thank you.
Thank you.